Coming to you live from Williamsburg, Virginia. It is the FLB The Dynasty Podcast. I'm your host, Kieran Barry. Welcome, everyone. I have with me my co-host, Jack Van Dyke, and tonight's guest, Dylan. I actually don't know your last name. What's up, guys?
We could keep that a mystery. No, it's Miles. It's Miles.
Nice.
What's going on, boys?
Not much. What about yourself?
Can't complain.
We got deals.
Yeah, we got deals. Let's start with our usual little deals roundup. We'll each throw out a deal and just do a quick breakdown. I'm going to throw out, partly because it's a deal I was involved in, the Tucker Verlander sale trade.
Oh, jeez.
So the breakdown is I got Kyle Tucker, Justin Verlander, and Chris Sale. Ethan got the second pick, the third pick, 17th pick, the 21st pick, and Trent Thornton. And I promised to take Vaughn 1-1, which I did.
Yeah, that's a funky trade from Ethan for me. I feel like he has like enough like talent on his roster that he can contend, but then he trades away like two aces right now. I mean, Verlander is old, but he's fine wine. I mean, he's proving that he production at a late age. And Chris Sale, has had his ups and downs this season, but is starting to tumble along. And Kyle Tucker is a top 10 prospect.
Yeah, the day after he traded me Chris Sale, he went the full 9 against KC, allowing only 3 hits and striking out 12.
Yeah, I don't really get that trade. I love prospects and I love this draft just as much as anyone else, but I don't see. I mean, he did get Rutschman still.
Yeah, he got
Rutschman,
Witt, Beatty, and Misner with the 4.
To that, I see. Obviously, you taking Vaughn 1-1 was huge for him and making that trade because you don't want to miss out on a talent like Adley. But trading away Verlander and Sale for prospects and draft picks just doesn't make too much sense to me.
Either of y'all got a deal you want to throw out here?
Yeah, I'll throw out a deal. I'm going to bring up another deal that I had with Ethan. I traded Jacob DeGrom, Jose Ramirez, Victor Mesa, and Jorge Gosman for Jake Orodezi. I'm going to,
Odorizzi,
Javier Baez, and Elvis Andrus.
Andrus.
All right, whatever. I personally like the deal for me.
I told you, Dylan.
Yeah, I see that now. I see why there's a whole segment on his pronunciation coming up.
I would love to be a broadcaster one day. I would have to spend at least 3 hours before the game even started trying to pronounce half the people's names, and they'll be Smiths, and I'll still struggle with how to pronounce it.
Smythe.
Anywho, yeah. I like the deal for me because I'm in love with Javier Baez, and he's been on a tear lately. But I definitely think I'm probably overpaid with Jacob DeGrom, Jose Ramirez, and Victor Mesa. Because I know, Kieran, you're not very high on Victor Mesa, but I think he's going to be an Almora Jr. type of player coming off the bench.
That's not a lofty comp, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, Almora, his bat is starting to tumble on, and he's hitting, 280, 290, somewhere in there.
As much as I am low on Mesa, I'm really high on Jose Ramirez, and I think you sold incredibly low on him. I think he is the best player in that deal. And I don't think Odorizzi's production is going to stick around to this level for very much longer at all.
Yeah.
I really like this trade for E, honestly. What do you think, Dylan?
I'm sorry, I was looking through my transactions from this year, trying to figure out what. Repeat what you said.
Jacob DeGrom, Jose Ramirez, Victor Mesa, Jorge Gosman, Orodezi, Javier Baez, and Elvis Andrus. Not right.
What do you think of it?
Trade.
I don't like Jose Ramirez. I'm gonna throw that out there, and I don't necessarily like Jacob DeGrom either. So, take that for what you will. But I think DeGrom is never going to have a season like he did. Again, I actually recently dealt DeGrom and Lorenzo Cain for Mike Trout in an 8-team redraft not too long ago. And I I have no regrets. I have Garrett Cole still as my ace. I have Jose Barrios in that league as well. Someone dropped Jack Flaherty. I picked him up. I don't like DeGrom. I don't like Jose Ramirez. I've always thought he was overrated. I dealt Jose Ramirez for Javi Baez and Roberto Osuna last year in a keeper league. So if that tells you anything about how I value Jose Ramirez, and I'm really glad that I did that. So
yeah. I see like the value point from DeGrom. Like he's still, like a pretty good starter, but Jose Ramirez has just been god awful this year, and he's really showing no signs of improvement. Like he'll have like one really good like game with like 3 hits, a couple RBIs, a couple runs, but I think he's hitting 220 or something like that.
I don't
think he's hitting 200 right now.
I don't think Ramirez is what he was last year, but I think he's closer to that than he is to what he is this year.
I mean, he's still going to steal bases. He'll still get you 40 stolen bases, but I don't think those home runs and average.
He's sitting at 203 right now.
Yeah, I just don't see that coming. And DeGrom, I think it's reasonable to expect a mid-3s ERA from DeGrom. I think what he did last year was incredible, and I think that's peak DeGrom, but I don't think we're going to see peak DeGrom again, especially because of his elbow injury. That he can say it doesn't bother him anymore, but as a fantasy owner or previous fantasy owner, it doesn't weigh too kindly on my mind. So
right,
yeah. Anything that says if someone comes out with a report that you have a barking elbow, it probably isn't the greatest sign.
So I've got a trade that I think I want to throw out here. When I joined this league this offseason, I kind of got into a deals mode and made a bunch of trades, and one of which being myself trading away Dahl, Darvish, Kopech, however you want to say it, 112 and 214 draft picks, and I got Aaron Judge in return. I think it's good for me. I think Judge is when he's good, he's a top 10 bat, top 15 or at worst. So hitting in that ballpark in that lineup, I like that. I don't like Derek Dahl platooning. I think Kopech and his Tommy John is a little concerning to me, and the draft picks or whatever. And Darvish is Darvish. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, Aaron Judge is just a freak of nature, and Darvish has been utter garbage the entire year. And,
see, at the time, I really liked Tom's end of this deal.
Then Darvish happened.
I really like David Dahl. I still really like David Dahl.
He's hitting over 300.
I'm going to call it a wash at this point because of Judge's injury and because of Dahl's injury history. I just don't know if everyone in the deal were healthy, I'd take your side of it pretty much every day of the week. But I'm not sure Judge is going to stay healthy enough, and when you're losing the one great player you've got to injury, I think you've got to go with the package. It's close to me.
I mean, for me, my team's already. I wasn't hurting for offense, and I've never been a big Yu Darvish fan. So, and I don't know how old is Yu Darvish now. 31,
32.
Yeah, 31.
Yeah, he's up there. The only piece I really like in that deal is Kopech, and he's coming off Tommy John. I have multiple shares of Kopech, and I still will continue.
Almost 33, 32 to 97.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So yeah, I have no regrets with that trade. The other one I want to throw out to you guys, it was made in another league, but it's kind of fascinating to me to see this player's value increase. But I traded Patrick Corbin and Corey Seager and a minor draft pick swap in the other party's favor for Adalberto Mondesi. What's your take on that? Mondesi's being projected as a top 10 hitter right now.
Yeah, but I don't know if everything in my gut tells me Mondesi should be good, and then everything in my brain is saying I'm wary. If that,
I mean, the strikeouts are. I mean, you have to put up with the 0 for 4s with 3 strikeouts, and then you get the
0 walks,
4 stolen bases. Right, no walks. Yeah.
Well, that's a problem with Harper and Baez now. Like, they're great baseball players, but when it comes to fantasy, you always see that little tick, and you wonder why. And you see 2 strikeouts with 2 RBIs, and you just don't get that kind of value. But yeah, I like the end of the deal for you, honestly.
Yeah, I gotta.
Yeah. And that's a league where I've got Walker Buehler, Jose Barrios, and Luis Castillo to back up my rotation, in addition to Luke Weaver, unfortunately, who is now sitting on my IL. But I think I had enough pitching in that league to give a piece away and get Mondesi. And of course, as a Royals fan, that's that I feel pretty good about that.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm going to throw out one more trade from me, and I'm Kieran. You could probably do the same. I'm doing the Johnny trade with Trey Turner, Miles Milakis. Yep, that's 2020 Emeralds third for Giletto and J.A. Happ.
Giolito. Yeah.
Giolito? Really?
Giolito. You're very.
Anywho, yes. I know I lost. Johnny got the better end of this trade.
Johnny got the better
end
of this trade.
Talent-wise, Johnny got the better end of the trade.
I think you needed the pitching. I think given your two teams in a vacuum, it's a push. Given your two teams with what's around in the league, with teams like mine, Cody's, Tom's, and Max's, which have pretty much put the beat down on whoever we've run into the last couple weeks until Max came up against you this week. I think I gotta side with Johnny's side. Again, just in part because I don't think as great a piece as Giolito is, and as great, I think he is breaking out, and I think this is real. We'll get to that a little later. I think you made a win now move at the wrong moment in time. I think trading Trey Turner right now was not the right thing to.
Well, the reason I traded Trey Turner was I still had Didi on the bench. Like, Didi is like at least a top 10 fantasy shortstop, and he's already come back and started breaking. So I felt comfortable having him at the shortstop position when I already had, because Trey Turner was my starting shortstop, obviously, but I still had him and Juris, or I don't know how they call it. But
Andrus.
I felt comfortable moving those two guys, especially for the need of my pitching, which, I mean, I had two solid guys and Boyd, and I don't even know past Boyd, but
Trey Turner is the number one fantasy shortstop. I'm just
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think you got enough to warrant trading away the number one fantasy shortstop. Granted, shortstop is a deep position, the deepest in fantasy, and the deepest we've seen a position in a very long time. But I like Giolito. I'm not completely sold on him yet. I don't like Happ. Happ is a wash, whatever. But I don't necessarily like Michaelis, and the third round pick is whatever. So essentially, you traded Trey Turner for Lucas Giolito, and I think you always value the bat in that case.
Yeah.
I think
especially when he has that much more of a track record than Giolito does.
Right,
and last deal.
Sorry,
no, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
I was going to say I dropped Giolito in an ESPN Dynasty League at the beginning of this year, so I'm feeling the pain from that right now. But there's really nothing. I look back on his profile, and there was really nothing in there to indicate that this was coming, other than the fact that he was a touted prospect, and we knew that his ceiling was this high, but his peripherals were terrible.
The last deal I'm going to throw out there, and then we'll move on to the next segment. I got Brandon Woodruff, and Johnny got Logan Gilbert, Jonathan Ornelas, my 2022 first, and Justin Turner.
That's a good trade for you.
I agree. I think it's a win now trade that I've been asking him for Woodruff for forever. His peripherals look really nice.
The only thing I've heard that could diminish Woodruff's value at this point is his innings limit. And there's nothing really, I think he's thrown 140, 150 before. So I don't really see an issue with him, getting above that mark. I think he'll sit around 180, which is perfectly fine in a fantasy environment, and especially if he's going to get 8, 9, 10 strikeouts per start.
Yeah.
I think right now, Woodruff, you definitely won the trade now, but in the future, I can definitely see this paying off for Johnny, just because Logan Gilbert is such a stud. Big frame southpaw, the fastball sits in the mid 90s. I mean, this kid's going to be something special. And I mean, Justin Turner isn't some roster filler. I mean, he's still a consistent hitter. And the first round pick, that Johnny is just going to own the next 3 drafts apparently.
Yes, it's a first round pick, but at the same time, it's my first round pick, and my team. While I'm a win now team, I'm not an early to mid 30 somethings win now team.
Yeah,
a win now team who my core players outside of I'd say Verlander and Morton are in their mid to late 20s at the latest.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I still see that being a good trade for you down the future. I contrary to a lot of people in this league, I value proven major league players over prospects, and I love prospects just as much as the next guy. But
I do.
When it comes down to it, you value the guys that have played.
There are very few prospects I will value over major leaguers. I own 2 of them and won't move them for that reason. That's Wander Franco and Matt Gore.
Yeah, Wander Franco is just insane, dude.
There are 2 of like 6 or 7 prospects that I would, genuinely turn down a solid major league player for.
Well, I think I definitely saw your approach, Dylan, in like how you need to get the major league talent. That was in the back of my head. So I had this farm that was sitting around 15, 20 guys when I inherited it, and I sold it all off, and I got the major league talent now, and I'm somewhere, mid of the standings fighting for a playoff. But that's better than just sitting and waiting a couple of years for these guys to come up.
Yeah, that's what I did when I took over this
team. Dylan.
I had a huge farm team, and I just traded it all away because people value worse prospects, and you can bundle 5 guys that may not even ever make it to the major leagues. And in this league, you can grab a decent quality major leaguer, which is what I did.
Moving on to the next segment, we've got the second half predictions. This is just going to be sort of rapid fire. Throw out your predictions, get agree, disagree, maybe a sentence as to why, and move on. You kick us off, Jack.
Oh, jeez. All right. I will say that the Philadelphia Phillies do not make the playoffs.
Hard disagree.
I'm a soft disagree.
I have the Dodgers. I have the Phillies winning their division.
See, the problem is, like, you're seeing the Braves are so good, man, and especially adding Dallas Keuchel now. I mean, there's obviously the problem, but they have Mike Soroka, who came up and he's pitching great. They have Dallas Keuchel now, who I fully expect to pick up right where he started and kind of a good 2-3 starter. They have Julio Teheran, who's been a consistent arm for him. I think that the Braves take the next leap. And then the Phillies, on the other hand, their bats are a huge question mark for me. I mean, Bryce Harper hasn't been the same. JT's been unreal, honestly. But Rhys Hoskins, I haven't seen the numbers that I thought I would see from him. Gene Segura, consistent hitter, I guess. But past that, like, I can't really name anyone real, especially after losing McCutchen. That outfield has a lot of the one part of the outfield has a big need, and I don't see anyone filling it.
Here's mine, and mine's more of a league prediction than a majors prediction. Tom leads the league in second and wins the rest of the season.
Wow. Honestly, I could see it. Just because the dude's team has been red fire hot.
It's been red hot. It should, and most of it looked sustainable to me. I think Tom's team is one of the best in the league right now. Just honestly, and I don't think these last few weeks have just been a one-off wonder. I think Tom is really the real deal and could, like I said, I think lead the league in wins down the stretch. What do you think, Dylan?
To that extent, I see Tom's got Shane Bieber, and one of my second half predictions is that Shane Bieber finishes outside the top 30 of starting pitchers. I am not a believer. I don't see the stuff that he used to have. I watched his start. I don't remember if it was today or yesterday, but he did not have a good start. And he's not trending in the right directions. His ERA is over 4. He's still striking guys out, but I see him at the back end of that Indians rotation once healthy, and I don't see him inside the top 30 of starting pitchers, which I believe is where he was drafted. So that's going to be one of my predictions. And contrary to that, I'm going to say that Luis Castillo makes a significant push for the NL Cy Young Award.
I highly support this.
Yeah.
I love Luis Castillo.
Yeah, I think that the only reason he's not getting more attention is because he's on the Cincinnati Reds. I think if that dude was... I want to just take the moment to think of how good the Miami Marlins would be right now if they just traded nobody. Like they
didn't trade Chris Paddock for Fernando Rodney?
Yeah, if they kept Chris Paddock, Luis Castillo, who's the other arm?
Domingo Germán.
Germán, yeah. If they didn't trade him, and then that outfield with Yelich, Stanton, Kane. I mean,
you mean Ozuna?
And Real Muto behind the plate,
or Ozuna, yeah, and Real Muto behind the plate. I mean, that's like 5 guys right there, and the rest, you can go sign whoever. But the fact that the management was that, like, when Derek Jeter took over, I fully expected him, like, I expected a setback, but I didn't expect what he did to that team. I mean, he just completely, it wasn't like a retool, or even, like, I wouldn't even call it a rebuild. That was a full-on
fire sale
down.
I think it's easy to say that if the Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton outfield would be the best in the MLB, obviously this year, but I think one of the best outfields in the last like 20. If seeing the way they're all performing today, I know Stanton's on the IL, but how many home runs are in that outfield?
Yeah, that production is just through the roof. I thought when Derek Jeter took over, I thought he would get. When they traded the guys, they would get like good return, but really we haven't seen anything come up from the returns they got. Like Luis Brinson, I mean, he has done absolutely nothing. And Monty Harrison, they're not calling off. Zach Gallen, who I'm a huge fan of, is doing great.
I like Gallen,
but he's not. They're not calling him up for whatever reason because they love their rotation. Okay. I don't know. I don't.
Sixto Sanchez is headed for Tommy John.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
That dude just will never be healthy. I think he has the high level stuff to be a solid 2, even 1 starter one day, but he will just never be healthy.
So next up, we've got the playoff picture right now. It looks like the 1 seed would be Cody, the 2 seed would be Max, 3 would be Johnny, 4 would be me, 5 would be Dave, and 6 would be Tom. Out of all of these, which surprises you the most, and which do you think is most likely to change?
I'll go with Johnny, man. I mean, no one.
Yep.
I get like he was hunting the waiver wire and that kind of stuff, but I mean, this dude, I had him near the bottom. I had him 8, 9, maybe.
Yep, I did his roster a couple weeks ago, and at the time I said I think there were 2 or 3 players I would have given more than a worst or 2 for on his roster, and that was Mondesi, Mazzara, and Giolito, and I probably would have barely given that much for Giolito.
I think bold prediction here for me. I think I make the playoffs. I think I finish as a top 4 team in this league. I think my team is too stacked to not do it.
I could see you making the playoffs, and I think I could see Johnny not, honestly.
I mean, it's right now his team's hot, and
his team's hot, but at the same time, he's he's barely ahead of Dylan in points for. He's 5th in points for right. No, he's 6th in points for right now, and he's barely 100 ahead of Dylan. And you're making a charge for the playoffs, and E's team is underperforming.
Yeah, I fully expect you to be in the playoffs. I could honestly see Jordan's team dropping out just because the pitching isn't there. I could see Max falling down a little bit.
Honestly, right now, I think me, Cody, Max, and Tom are the 4 teams I would put down $100 right now make the playoffs.
See, I think it's just I honestly think it's the top 2 guys, and then it is just a mad push for the playoffs. Like you and Cody, I think, definitely have two of the more established teams, and then from there, it's just everyone, clawing and fighting for those last 4 spots.
Moving on to the next bit, real or fake. This is basically, this is a one-time thing since it's mid-season. We're gonna talk about some players who are in the midst of, or are starting, or are partway through a breakout season, and whether we think it's sustainable. I'll kick it off. My first pick is Avisel Garcia. I currently have Avisel Garcia on the roster. I don't think it's entirely real, but I don't think it's just what he was a couple years ago, which was just, a 370-some BABIP floating bad luck, floating good luck into talent. I think he's better than he was then, but I don't know if he is what his line is now.
I would agree with that. I don't think he's going to finish as anything special. I think just, maybe that 5th outfielder, 4th outfielder kind of guy. I don't think he'll be anything crazy.
What do you think, Jack?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that this year he's been unreal, but you should expect a decline, but I don't think it will be as monumental as people are going to say.
That's sort of about where I fall. Jack, do you got someone next?
I'm going to go with Josh Bell.
Real.
The MVP candidate, and I 100% think it's real. I mean, this is a big dude hitting the baseball. I mean, what is he? 6'7", something like that? I mean, he's a huge guy. He has 18 home runs, 57 RBIs, 46 runs, about 325 average.
He's actually only 6'2". He's just
He's only 6'2". He looks so big.
He's just built. Yep.
Yeah, but I fully expect him to keep going on the Pittsburgh Pirates. And if the Pirates are smart, I would honestly, unless you think that you are close enough to contention in the division, I honestly would not turn away on Josh Bell offers.
I don't think you move Josh Bell.
I don't think you can move Josh Bell right now, yeah.
I mean,
not with their most recent trade and how it's looking for them right now. I don't think you can make a move like that. I don't think the Pittsburgh fans would literally let the organization make a move like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking from a value standpoint. Yeah, they were already all in front about the McCutchen trade. I couldn't imagine if they lost.
No, I think he means the Archer trade.
The Archer trade, yeah.
Shit.
I truly don't think the Pirates are that far off from competing. I think they have a lot of young talent, and Josh Bell in the middle of that order with Mitch Keller coming up in the rotation. And in the next couple of years, if Chris Archer can show promise of the Chris Archer he's supposed to be, I think they have a legitimate shot. The problem is they're playing in arguably one of the best divisions in the MLB.
I think probably the best division in baseball right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean that. And you're talking about the Reds, the Reds, they suck right now, but they have so much talent that is going to just push up. I am, as a Cubs fan, I am not happy with the state of the division just because of how competitive it is.
I have a couple guys that I want to throw out. The first one being Tim Anderson. I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
that's sustainable. I don't think he's going to hit over 275. I think he'll hit closer to 250, 260. He might hit 15 home runs, and he's going to steal 30 bases.
Yeah, that sounds about what I'm feeling. He's had a really great start to the year, but I agree. I just don't think I don't think he can keep up at this pace. I definitely agree about the average. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Someone say something.
Yeah, I definitely. I think he can keep up not the average he's doing now, but I think he'll sit 280-ish. But I don't think the power is going to be what it is right now. I mean, the dude has I don't know the home run total
9 right now.
I don't see him breaking 15 home runs again in his career. I think he will be a great contact. I love Gene Segura is a great comparison for him with a little less contact side.
See. I'm exactly the opposite. I think the power
I don't think so.
Is sustainable than the contact is.
Really?
Gene Segura is going to hit over 300. You can count on that. I don't think Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson will ever
I
hit.
don't think he hits above 275.
Let's see. Next up, I'll toss out my second one. Derek Dietrich. I think it's unsustainable, but I don't think it's as unsustainable as it would be if I were to just say it's unsustainable, if that makes any sense.
Can you repeat yourself? Sorry.
Yeah, I did not hear it.
Sorry. I said, I don't think it's sustainable, but I don't think it's as unsustainable as it would be if I were to just say unsustainable.
I agree. I think there is something there. There's pop, there's athleticism, and there's a higher contact rate to be found there, but I don't see him hitting over 260. He might hit 30 home runs.
He's actually only hitting 248 right now, but he's OPS in 980.
But the home runs and RBIs and that kind of stuff are there.
Yeah, he's got the 17.
Is pretty good too.
He's 36 for 145 with 17 home runs right now.
Yeah, I think he'll be. I'm trying to think of. I had this guy in my head. And I'm like, this is exactly what he does. But I think he'll be kind of that big bat that you can take off the bench and comes into the clutch and hits one. I think he will be about where his average is now.
And he's splitting time because he doesn't hit lefties. So he's benched against lefties now, so which diminishes his value. But I have 2 shares of him, and I don't mind starting him, but I would start, like right now I'm starting Max Kepler over him, who is my second breakout candidate.
There's a lot of trades I regret, and that one sits maybe top 5 for me. Trading away Max Kepler. Like
it was what? Kepler, Lazarito, and 326 for Didi?
36 for who?
For Didi Gregorius.
Yeah.
I like the Kepler side.
Yeah, Kepler's just not. Once
he put on 25 pounds of muscle this offseason.
The next week, he hit 500. And I just looked over to Kieran, who was sitting like right next to me in my econ class, and he just is smiling and laughing. Like,
didn't I tell you at the time we made that trade? I asked for Polanco with the impression you'd offer me Kepler.
Yep,
that's exactly what he wanted Kepler in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Max Kepler. He and Byron Buxton coming into this year were my 2 that I had heard really good things about. They both hit the weight room hard this offseason. They put on 20 and 25 pounds respectively of muscle, and Kepler hasn't been a disappointment. I've got him in 2 or 3 leagues, and I definitely think I wish I had more shares of him. I don't think that average is going to be up there. I think he might. I think it's realistic to expect a 265, 270 average, but he might hit 40 home runs this year.
I could see it, honestly.
Yeah, my second guy is Trey Mancini, Baltimore. I don't see him keeping up the production. I mean, the dude is raking right now, but the real downside is he's a Baltimore Oriole. And anyone from Baltimore I can't really trust. Even in the minors, there's maybe the Grayson Rodriguez.
I'd say Grayson and Adley are probably the only O's prospects I actually really like. Yeah.
Whatever happened to Austin Hayes? That's my question.
He's hurt.
Has he done anything?
I knew a guy that in New York in one of my other leagues that he emailed the sports book from the casino he wanted to bet at and had them add Austin Hayes to their Rookie of the Year odds because he wanted to bet on Austin Hayes. Biggest Yankee fan you can find, but Austin Hayes was hit and I've got 3 shares of Austin Hayes sitting in my NA or minor league spots right now, and I think I have him in. Yeah, I have him in this league, and I'm just waiting for that breakout that's supposed to be coming.
I mean, that dude has been tossed around this league so much. The disrespect that is put on Austin Hayes' head is incredible. I think there's a good strand of deals that happened where Austin Hayes was involved as kind of like a flyer, kind of a minor spot.
Yeah, he's got a whole 2 pages of just transaction history here. April 1st, March 27th, March 10th, February 7th, June 27th, January 22nd. It goes on. This guy's been tossed around. I didn't even know that, but I'm going to hold.
My last one to wrap up this segment, I'm going to say, and this is one because Jack and I have gone back and forth on Jack's unwillingness to trade me, Tommy Stella.
Ah. Hey, he hit another home run today, though.
Yeah, all right. This is what I'm going to say about Tommy Stella. He is not going to keep up the power surge that he's had right now. I mean, what? I don't even know how many home runs he has. 15? Is it 15? Yeah. I think his career high was like 12 at Cubs. I don't.
He didn't have consistent playing time with the Cubs, though.
No, but I do think he will be that solid infielder, like that solid middle of the lineup bat that the Angels have been dying to look for, like dying to have. Like you see Trout and you see Pujols, and those are kind of like two big names, and then from there, I mean, there's Calhoun, who's come
Ohtani.
up, and then Tommy. Yeah, exactly.
Ohtani, so I think he said.
Oh, yeah.
Shohei.
Yeah. That guy, yeah.
I saw. I mean, those three went back to back last night. Trout, Lo Stella, and Ohtani.
Oh yeah.
I think that's as good of a top three in a lineup as you're gonna find.
Yeah, I definitely think he keeps up the RBIs, average, all that kind of stuff. But I don't see the power carrying over to the next season or the rest of the season, to be honest.
Good, then you should trade him to me.
Well, no, if he's going to keep hitting like he is, I mean, I'm glad to start at second base.
We could sit here and say that he's not going to keep it up, but he's got how many plate appearances now, and he's hitting over 300 with 15 home runs. I mean, that's
213 at bats is what he is right now.
It's hard to argue with that kind of production.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. I'm just giving Jack crap for not trading him to
wants him.
Yeah. All right, now on to my favorite, Jack's least favorite part of this podcast.
God.
You know what it is, Jack. It's that time. I've got 5 names for you.
Jesus. All right.
Come on, man. You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. I just didn't want to do it.
You stole one of the ones, but you already screwed up one of the ones I had set aside, actually.
Was it Ordezi or
Odorizzi? Yep, I had Jake Odorizzi written down already.
God. Bless America. All right.
So
all right, shoot away. Let's get this done.
All right. First one's in chat.
Oh, Jesus. To Pita Marcano.
Tucupita Marcano.
That was closer than usual. Next. Oh, God. Jesus. G. Mary Candelario.
Jaime
that was close.
Candelario.
There we go. See, I'm getting better. I just got to get the first one out of the way. All right. First one out of the way. Let's see the next one.
Here's another one.
Anthony Descalfani.
Anthony Desclafani.
That's not English. Jonathan Loisiga.
Jonathan Loisiga. Or, as my grandparents would say, Johnny Lasagna.
Nice.
Actually, what my grandparents call him is Johnny.
Dude, the fact that you can talk about the baseball players with your grandparents is amazing.
And the last one, Braves 9th overall pick.
Shea, is that part right? Or
yep.
Did I already fucked it up? All right. Langarius.
Langliers.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have one I want to throw you.
Okay.
All right.
You got it. Sound it out.
Mike Trout.
Close enough.
Close enough for government work. All right, and now on to the last segment of the night, the questions. I'm going to let someone else go first for this one.
All right, I'll start it off. I mean, I'm a little unprepared here, but Dylan, if you could have one player on who's your favorite team to start off? We'll just get that going.
Royals.
Royals. If you could choose one prospect to be called up right now,
Bobby Witt Jr.
Well, that was quick.
Actually, taking that aside, it would probably be Daniel Lynch.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm a huge Singer fan. I think that dude's going to be.
I'll bet you Daniel Lynch has a better MLB track record than
you
Brady
think?
Singer. I love Brady Singer, but Daniel Lynch is flying under the radar. He cracked the top 100 a couple weeks ago.
Did he really?
Yeah, number 100.
Me. Ooh, so it has to be like a Yankee I want to see called up, just not a player I want to, not just like.
Yeah. That has to be Yankee. Who do you want on your favorite team to be called up right now? Setting aside that the Yankees already called up everyone, but I mean.
I was gonna say all our good players are currently playing in the major.
Does Giancarlo Stanton count? Because he's technically.
Yeah, I'll take our entire DL, please. Or IL. You're right. It's IL now. Sorry.
That was why. Like that's an honest question for him. What was the difference between DL and IL? Like what? With all the changes, like the umps and like the balls getting juiced and all that kind of stuff, you concentrate on what you're going to name where you put players that are injured.
I think as far as someone who I think is ready and would have a positive impact now, I'm going to say Mike King. As far as someone I just want to see get a taste of the show, I'm going to say Davey Garcia. Especially,
I love Garcia, dude. That dude rates. And I think he's going to be great.
Not Dermis, Davey, the pitcher.
Oh, well, I don't know who that is.
Can we just take a moment to talk about how god-awful of a right fielder Clint Frazier is?
Yes, he's terrible.
I mean,
What's your pick, Jack? Is it Nico?
Oh, yeah, this is a question.
Nico Horner, dude, I'm a believer.
Nico is going to come up and hit 335 and win Rookie of the Year whenever he gets called up. Hopefully next year, which I think Theo will fast track. I mean, he already started off in Double-A this year, which he wasn't even like. Most rookies now are in like High A or something like that. And the fact that he's starting in Double-A to start off the season tells me that Theo wants this kid up as soon as possible.
I like Horner. That's a good one.
Yeah, he's never leaving my team.
Okay, so here's mine, and it's a little bit of a interesting to sort of curious question. What's the most absurd, like, be it, absurdly bad, absurdly great baseball stat you've heard in the last 2 weeks?
Oh, jeez.
Jack, you go first because I'm going to look up mine. Data.
That's what I was about to do.
If you want, I'll give mine. Mine is going to be Mackenzie Gore, his high school junior season ERA.
Oh, yeah. Or his K to walk ratio.
Or, yeah, strikeout to walk ratio, too.
Was that was it 159?
158 to 5. 58 to 5 strikeout to walk ratio, and a .08 ERA in his junior year.
That dude's insane.
I'm going to go with a guy from my own team. I'm going to say Sin-Shin Chu, still batting near 300 at the age of, 50. This dude I picked up off of the wave.
I think you're talking about Shin-Soo Choo, correct?
Sin-Shin Chu. God, it's some Chinese name. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's actually Korean.
Korean, but I'm doing it.
It's Shin-Soo
I'll
Chu.
take the pen and I'm gonna jump into mine. Pablo Lopez away on the road in 34 and a third innings pitched. He has a 6.82 ERA with a 279 average against. At home in 29.1 or 29 and a third innings pitched, he has a 1.84 ERA with a 176 average against.
Jeez, dude. Who knew anyone would be good in Marlins Park?
Pablo Lopez. Every time I see he has a home start coming up, I immediately stream him. He's a great streamer option at home.
Ask Cody. I am the world's biggest believer in Pablo Lopez.
In Plop?
Plop.
What's your question, Dylan?
Nickname now? Plop.
So I asked this question because I have a guy in mind that I will answer my own question after you give yours. But who is one fantasy baseball player or baseball player that you hate having, or you they don't treat you well, they struggle every year, but you keep coming back and owning them, or wanting to own them, or trading for them?
Oh,
Who is
easily
that one guy?
Fernando Rodney, dude. Loved that guy. I mean, I remember 2 years ago, I traded. I forget who it was. It was some like scrub. It might have been Pujols actually. I traded Pujols for Fernando Rodney, and I had like no relievers, and the dude goes and gets like 40 saves. I mean, each year, besides this year, apparently, game in, game out was great, and then this year just absolutely tanks. And last year, like, I think he had like one of the better saves, but the blown saves was at least double digits.
My answer is a player who I need to. I actually have a sticky note, no joke, on my binder for this league. Do not add Rougned Odor.
Yeah.
The uncountable numbers of times I have added, traded for, kept over someone else. Rougned Odor is unbelievable.
For me, it's John Gray. Unfortunately, the strikeout upside is too enticing for me to stay away, and I know he's going to hurt me with that upper 4 ERA and those blow-ups, but those strikeouts they get me every time. And I found myself, I was going into the year, and I was drafting a slow draft, and I said, all right, I'm not taking John Gray. I had him last year in this league. I'm done. And I got in the draft, and he was the best on the board. I needed starting pitching, and I took John Gray. And he's been whatever for me this year. You know, he hasn't been getting strikeouts at the rate that I'd like. He's had some good starts, but he's had mostly bad, and he's on my dropometer at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say, Kieran is the biggest supporter of John Gray than anyone I've known, but just more than you, yeah.
I said, I was going to say, I'm glad with what I got for John Gray.
What'd you get for John Gray?
He was part of the Haniger trade for 1-2 and 1-3.
That's right. Okay. Can we just talk about that? You said Haniger. You have no right to make fun of. You have no.
Okay, how is it actually pronounced? I actually don't know that.
It's Haniger.
Haniger.
Haniger. We need to have a segment called Kieran's pronunciation.
All right, and with that, we will call it an episode. Thanks to the hopefully 12 of you who listen. Actually, 13, because I bet money Bracton listens.
Absolutely,
Shout out,
dude.
And a couple words specifically to him. Fuck the Jets. And
Le'Veon gained 30 pounds.
Sam Darnold isn't a top 20 quarterback.
True.
Let alone a top 6 quarterback.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up, but have you shown anyone the list that he made of the quarterbacks he would only take over Darnold? I think
yes, I have. It's on the Bracton Cold Takes Twitter account. Follow it on Twitter at Bracto Cold Takes. But with all that being said, have a nice night, everyone.
Yeah.